Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Cucchiara, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Cucchiara.
Welcome in, Joe Cucchiara with Real Estate Radio Live. Thank you again for all those that are tuning in the show, downloading the podcast. We appreciate it very much. Coming to you for over 12 years and over 1,700 interviews. We're proud to say that we've been at this for quite some time, and our focus and really our objective is the same. Most of you that have followed the podcast know it is education and information. So what we try to do on a regular basis is provide you, the consumer, in different industries with content, great guests like I have today, to really help you make wise decisions in and around real estate, whether it's buying, selling, financing, purchasing, all kinds of different aspects of real estate. As that's what we want to try to do. We'll continue to do that. And for more information on the show, you could download, you go to 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘.com. That's 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘.com. For those that reach out to me several times a week, I do appreciate. Thank you again. I don't want to be remiss and forget about thanking those that reach out to our show. The way to reach me is Joe at 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘.com. That is Joe at 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘.com, or you could also reach out at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060. All right, I'm going to bring in my guest. Super excited about this topic today. As most of you know, if you follow the show again, I try to really bring on guests and provide content that not only to keep you up to date on the market, but what's the evolution, the changes in the market. Most of you know, if you've been following real estate at all, is that there is a big shift. There has been the last several years in not only the dynamic way that people transact real estate, buying and selling. A lot of people know about some of the concepts of the different real estate companies that are doing different things. And then most recently, some of the big commissions changes that have taken place too. So I think it kind of plays right into a little bit of the content and the great information we're going to share with you today. So let me bring on with our guest today, Matt Parker. He is with Alaki. Is that correct, Matt? Is that how you pronounce it, Alaki?
Yeah, correct.
That's great. Well, good to have you, Matt, and thanks for joining us. Before we dive in, and I'm excited to have you share with our audience a little bit about the company and the business model. Tell us a little bit about your background, and then bring us up to, if you would, in just a minute or so, what led you to starting this company.
Absolutely. My name is Matt Parker. Thank you very much, Joe, for having me on.
Welcome.
I'm the CEO and a co-founder of Alaki, like you mentioned earlier. I exited another prop tech company called 𝗥𝗱𝗓𝗄 in 2021. And 𝗥𝗱𝗓𝗄 was a home seller concierge. The closest company you might know of that does a similar type thing is called 𝗥𝗱𝗏𝗘.
Oh, yes. Right.
Yeah. So I think 𝗥𝗱𝗏𝗘 was first or second. We were probably second to 𝗥𝗱𝗏𝗘, much smaller footprint, but we operated in Washington, California, and Florida, and had a lot of success with home sellers right prior to the pandemic, that funny time in the old world.
Right.
So we went around and formed channel partnerships with some major real estate companies that lenders and escrow companies, and had a very successful run. 𝗥𝗱𝗓𝗄 still exists. I just took an exit from there to brush up my network and my business skills and get an MBA. And it's while I was getting an MBA that I met my current co-founders, and we kind of accidentally stumbled upon this business model. So that's how I get to where I am this second.
Well, that's a perfect segue into this. So tell us a little bit about this business model. And also, if you could, you said you stumbled across it, kind of tell us how that happened, because some of the best stories, they kind of happen that way. Tell us a little bit about how that happened and how you guys came to form this company.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I also, like you, ran a successful sales team in Washington State for many years. Probably between 2018 and 2020, I started noticing a lot of my young tech professionals buying very differently from me than people had bought from me in the past. And I specifically remember this one young couple. They were both tech professionals and they had a good amount of money to spend, but basically told me they didn't want to talk to me. They respected me. They really valued my opinion. They valued my time, but they didn't have the time to converse with me, that they needed things executed basically when they were text over to me. And at that point in time, I didn't make much more of it than that. I thought, well, this is kind of odd. Maybe this is a one-off. But as time went along over the next couple of years, I noticed a lot of people either insinuating this or acting like this to me. And these would be people who are, of the generation that's now going to become the wealthiest generation in the history of humankind.
Right.
People that are 25 to 40 years old who are inheriting boomer wealth. And who, unfortunately, since about year 2000, there have been buying less and less homes. So they're having a hard time because they're competing with private equity, affordability crises, all the things you probably talked about on previous shows. So then as I was getting that MBA, I had a good friend of mine sitting next to me, a woman named Mandy, and she was a president at an energy company. So young, very successful, but she had moved from San Francisco to Los Angeles, and she had, found her home online. She had her husband drive to the different homes while she was working or in class. And then she identified exactly the home she wanted to purchase, and she was literally trying to buy it next to me in a classroom. And I remember, this powerful professor, trying to give their presentation, and Mandy was almost, I felt like she was, just exasperated trying to get an offer submitted on this home to meet a deadline. She ended up having to leave class multiple times and make phone calls in the hall. And that's where it kind of occurred to some of us in the classroom. There happened to be a very experienced real estate attorney who was several rows behind me. There was, of course, a technologist that was several rows behind me. And the four of us kind of got together over coffees over the next few months and said, hey, we really just want to create another option for people to buy who are like Mandy, who's kind of our prototype. Young, very successful. They need some help, but they don't need all the help.
Right.
That's really how the idea started. So what we created was a digital brokerage experience for digitally preferring customers. And it's not that they don't have hand-holding, it's just that they dictate when the hand-holding occurs and how it occurs.
I see.
And most of the time it comes through a real estate attorney. So we find they need an average of 8 hours of personal support. And the rest of it, they want to do digitally. And that's their strong preference.
Okay.
So we built that into a model and we've had success with it. And I'll kind of stop there because I could turn this into a full podcast with the journey from where it's gone from there. But
yeah, no, it's no, I appreciate it. It gives us a good view of that. Well, that's great. And I think there's so many changes taking place right now. And I do agree. I mean, I don't think a lot of people, unless you study it, respectively, all on a regular basis like you do and I do, that there is a generational shift taking place. And we could see it in our children. We could see it in the younger generation. And also, I think what you mentioned is a big, big factor in this transformation of wealth. And these kind of younger education, the newer generation, which really were born with a phone in their hand to some extent, that's all they really know. And I think it's taken, us baby boomers and others a while to understand that change is on the way. It's already here, actually, and it'll continue. And if you don't adapt and change, I'm a big believer, is that, you're going to be left behind to a certain extent. So this sounds this very interesting model. So if I get it right, Matt, it sounds like it's really, it gives a person the option to go on and almost, if you will, I don't know if this is too simplified, almost a menu type option where, look at what type of support you're needing. And then based on the support that one needs, then do they get assigned a real estate agent? And then how's that fee structure look like on something like that? If you give us a little idea how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two options for them right now. They can do a flat fee.
Okay.
The flat fee is everything they need for, call it $10,000,
Okay.
$9,999.
All right.
So, the tech is live in California, which means our average refund check is $29,293.
Okay.
So basically, we would collect the whole $40,000 commission. We would refund 30,000 of it to the buyer, and we would retain 10,000.
I see.
We don't consider ourselves a discount brokerage because they're not getting a real estate broker; they're getting a real estate attorney. And that's one payment model. The other payment model is they can pay as they go. So they would still pay at closing, but they would pay $199 for each showing. They would pay $3,200 for pre-offer expert advice. That would be things like, what should I offer? What should I look out for? Is this a good neighborhood? And then $5,200 for post-offer expert advice. So that's when they get in, they need help negotiating the inspection, have complicated title issues, something like that.
I see.
So in practical terms, if you, Joe, went, you're in San Jose, if you went today to an open house and you like that house, you could pull open our smart technology and you can make an offer for free.
Okay.
And if you needed help, then you could say, hey, I want one of these support packages. But if you truly just wanted to make an offer on a home in San Jose, that's completely available to you today.
Interesting. Okay. So the average person without a license or without any, legal background, real estate knowledge, they could go onto your site and make an offer, legitimate offer.
They can make an offer, and the offer is going to be checked by technology, of course, and that's going to be reviewed by an attorney.
Okay.
And if there's anything that's flagged on there, they'll be contacted personally. The most obvious thing you would not want to happen is like someone offering $20 million on a $2 million house.
Yeah, right.
But one of the benefits of this is the 30-page boilerplate is distilled into 4 small screens. And the 4 small screens help them understand what our attorneys have told us is, really the things you need to pay attention to on each document. So one of the reasons we did it the way we did is all of us realized at the beginning that we don't read any paperwork anymore. And, this is true in insurance, is true in car sales, is true in home buying, but we should be reading the paperwork.
Right.
And so this is one area where AI can make a huge beneficial differentiation for people, is when there's a 20-page document, we can say, here's the things that you need to be looking for in this document. Look at these things, and if you have questions, let us know.
Okay.
So we're encouraging people to spend more time on the paperwork, not less. It's just at their direction.
Right. And then, so the commission in general, how would you say, what would be the easiest way to explain? I think you kind of already did, but maybe elaborate on, if someone's, as someone's listening to this, and you would say, what is the difference maybe from this model versus just, getting a real estate agent locally and showing up to a listing with that real estate agent, that first part. And the second be, what would be the average cost saving? I know that could change because it depends on the level of services they request, but what have you seen as an average cost savings for a person that would want to manage the options on your business model versus the traditional route?
Yeah, so I'll answer in reverse order. So the average check issued to people is about $30,000.
Okay.
And yeah, so they're going to, it depends where you're making an offer.
Right. Okay.
Your market's a very, very expensive market. As you
Yes.
move north and east is very expensive. And you can test in Washington or Texas, and those discounts are going to be much, much less.
Okay.
But our customers are not, the discount to them is one part of it, but they're more interested in the autonomy of doing things on their own time, on their own speed, and autonomously.
Okay.
That seems to be, they're from surveys, and surveys are always, it's always hard to tell with surveys what people are telling the truth.
Right.
But it's really the transparency and the autonomy, and they actually still end up leaning on our attorneys for a lot of support. Again, it's just they don't have to have it until they want, and then they seem to want quite a bit of it. Like I said, average 8 hours.
Right. Well, no, that makes sense. I think what I'm hearing is what people are loving is the experience and the option, the ability to kind of do some on their own for a lot of people now that are really, you know, it's funny, again, the younger generation, I'll keep coming back into it, the people that you had mentioned, that one of the couple that you initially talked about as we started the show, people that are super comfortable navigating online, and let's face it, there's an intelligent component to this too. They're not only familiar with navigating online, but a lot of people, I hate to say it, because of Zillow and all the different things that have taken place with online education over the last 15 to 20 years. People are just more comfortable now, as you know. I mean, the small things like schools and crime and all these different things that people would have had no choice, right? But to contact a real estate agent, sit down with he or she, go through these details, have them email the information to them, sit down and discuss this. Am I not correct that all that, really everything is available to people online now, Matt, in terms of the real estate transaction? I mean, could you literally, I think to your point, someone could go on, do a ton of their own due diligence and legitimately be ready, comfortable to make an offer on a house, obviously with some legal support, et cetera. Is that correct?
I would say it's correct with three asterisks.
Okay.
One of these is that we've learned that we're ultimately solving an emotional problem, not a rational one.
Okay.
Real estate scares people.
It does.
And it should scare people because it's a big investment. And so there's a healthy fear factor there. And so really our job is to help them overcome that fear, but in a meaningful way that actually helps them.
Okay.
And so, we consider ourselves engineering for trust. And the second asterisk is once they get into that process, they actually do need someone to push them over the edge. And, commonly we've referred to this as buyer's remorse or buyer resistance.
Okay.
And I don't mean someone to push them into a bad purchase, but, anytime someone buys a house, they're spending more money than they've ever spent. They need someone professional reassuring them. So I'm not sure that I ever see a future where it's completely digital, because there is an important human element, which leads to the third and most important component, which is we think that the seller agent is one of the most valuable professionals out there. And we don't think that you can meaningfully engineer yourself around what the seller agent does. You've got a home that someone's given the key to the home. There's a safety issue there. And there's also a lot of fear related to who's coming in my home, how are they coming in my home, and how is this going to occur in a safe way. So we've actually engineered our solution so that seller agents can use it to attract more buyers to their business sphere.
Okay.
Because we believe that quality seller agents are a mainstay no matter what technology does. And that quality seller agents should have a way to more efficiently communicate with potential buyers. And so that is part of our solution too, that as we move through iterations, the seller agent can directly contact the buyer, and they can use Alaki or not for service, but they'll use our brokerage technicals for an easier digital transaction.
Interesting. Okay. What states are you guys licensed in? How does this component work through the traditional channels? Are you guys able to perform transactions throughout the United States? Are there specific states that you're working with right now?
Yeah, it's fully live in California and it's testable in Washington and Texas.
Okay.
Practice with an enterprise partner in Texas. But, California is the fifth biggest economy in the world. And so we're really focused on doing our learning there right now.
Got it. Is there a segment of California you're seeing more business come from? If we kind of parse it out and look at northern, southern, central, I mean, where is the business seem to be coming from, or is it really generated all over California? Yeah,
it's less geographic and it's more demographic.
Okay.
So our three metro areas, SD, LA, and SF,
okay,
people in all areas, but they do fit that model of very technically savvy. You can tell within minutes, kind of they fit our persona, and that it's kind of like the people that originally used Amazon to buy books. They were considered nerds in a certain form or function.
Right.
So we have these same types of people, and I use that term in a positive way. We have these same types of people saying, wow, this is really cool. I'm even going to hang with you through all the bugs that we find and all the glitches that we have because I really respect what you're trying to do for me.
Right. Right. Tell us a little bit about, well, so the one thing that most people don't realize, and when they're a first-time home buyer, and I think home buyer, I should say, is that this is solving a problem and giving people the options. It's a great component in business model. But what most people forget about until they're back in the middle of it is that part of the real estate transaction, not always, but sometimes involves getting a mortgage or then title and escrow. So there's other partners to do with this. Now, some people do pay cash. I realize that. So how does that component work within your model? Do you have partners? Do you just really try to strictly stay with the real estate piece, or kind of if you could bring those two in and let me know how those work with your model?
Yeah. Our greatest business partner right now is the lender.
Okay.
And early on, lenders did a great job of screening their customers for potential people who would benefit from us or people that needed a boost in their cash accounts for a closing. Let's say they needed an extra $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 for a remodel they were going to do, and the lender felt like that they fit our business model, they would refer them over.
Mm-hmm.
Since those beginnings over the last year, we've started to develop our own customers independent of lenders. And what we do is then we hand select and issue those to lenders. And so lenders are an absolutely vital part of our ecosystem. And there's really a back and forth trade of business. And, with the RESPA laws, we're not charging each other for that. But it's a very synergistic partnership that I can only imagine will grow greatly.
That's great. Well, it's come up a couple of times. I know it's a big buzzword right now, Matt, in not only this industry, but high tech and everything else. I mean, AI, artificial intelligence, a lot of us maybe are more familiar with than others. Some people are intrigued by it. Some people are more educated with it. Tell me, how are you using AI in this current model right now as today? I'd like to hear kind of how it works today and how are you using AI? And then where do you see AI playing a part in your model, say over the next 3 to 5 years or so?
Yeah. So I'll start small and then I'll go big with this to try to talk about some of the fears and misconceptions, in my opinion, about artificial intelligence and machine learning and language model. But we're using it. So right now that we feel that the price estimators on the primary real estate sources, Redfin and Zillow, sites that are complementary to ours that we love.
Right.
We don't think those price estimates are very helpful in a place like San Jose or Berkeley or downtown San Francisco. Reason being is because, properties in your market are having, 2 to 30 offers on them. And, now it's gotten to the point where Redfin even pulls that estimate once the property goes on the market. So you can't really see anymore what they're suggesting the price is. So once someone's inside our platform and they're making an offer, we use machine learning to issue them a range that they're going to have to pay to get that property. And so we've coded in different proxies that help us understand what that property is going to sell for.
Okay.
And I would call it almost as effective as like the best super local broker. Let's say the super local broker that controls, does 50 listings a year in a given neighborhood. They know what those houses are going to sell for, that margin over the list price. Our model is probably not quite as effective as them, but getting closer to that. So if you see a home listed for $2 million, you're wondering, what am I going to have to pay for this? It'll tell you, here's the range you need to be paying. If you really have to have it, you need to offer this. If it's something you can pass on, then you can offer this lower amount. And so far, that's been very accurate.
Got it.
Very cool. Another thing that is coming down the pipeline, it seems obvious to me, but I think document learning is going to be such a huge machine learning application for people. And by that, I mean, you're a busy professional, you've inspected a home, you've got a 60-page inspection report. And, people are trying to read this on their smartphone over a lunch break, or they're distracted. With document learning, we're going to be able to tell you, hey, you need to pay attention to sections 4, 5, and 6. Here's the type of questions you need to ask, and here's the type of professionals you're going to want to talk to. And I just think, just from a user standpoint, if I put myself in the buyer's shoes, I just can't wait for that to be ready to go. Because I myself, I hate reading through paperwork. I know it's important, but I get kind of this blur where, there's 30 pages and there's one important paragraph. Everything seems to take on the same importance, and that's a distraction. Yeah. So you say, I'll get it, it's all going to be okay. Right. Then that bites you in the rear end later.
Yeah.
But big picture with machine learning, I think the fear is undue. I think humans are fully in control, for better or for worse, of how we program these things. There's going to be many unintended consequences, but I don't think of it as replicating or replacing humans. Mm-hmm. I think of it as adding into it. Mostly it helps business because you can add it into a value chain and create a more defendable model. Okay. Meaning something like the price predictor that I just mentioned, if we do that well and it becomes sticky, then that becomes a part of our defendable model that adds value to our company and keeps people coming back to us. Right. It doesn't get rid of the showing agents, and it doesn't get rid of the real estate attorney, and it doesn't get rid of that person that helps someone overcome a difficult part of that transaction. It simply helps us build a better solution for that person.
Right.
I think almost all the applications of machine learning that we see in the short term will be that. They will be additives to a value chain, and they're already in our value chains. They're already in our social media. They're already in our Google. They're already in our Zoom. And so this is just an extension of what has already been done.
Right. Very good. Hey, Matt, do you find that you find most of the people coming to your site will come to your site prior to making the decision? In other words, I might be 3 months away from buying a house or selling a home. Or in other words, do a lot of them come there to start their educational process on your site? Or do a lot of them do some due diligence in other aspects or somewhere else online or personal discovery, and then they come to you guys? Or is that kind of hard to tell what stage they come to you guys at? If that makes sense.
That's a great question. We can absolutely tell. As is always the case, I'm surprised because my usual assumptions are almost always wrong.
So, yeah, that does happen a lot.
Yeah, and usually my team is much smarter and better at predicting the future than I am, which is why I have a great team. And so, yeah, there was one woman who logged in on a Thursday night and tried to buy a house like that second.
Wow.
And that just blew my mind. And she's a real buyer, and she's still with us. She didn't end up getting that house. And then, there's people who have been with us for a year. And, the major problem in California is that everything's a bidding war. Yeah. And so people are having to, make multiple offers before they get something. So there's a whole range. I don't think we have enough data yet to really say.
Okay.
But I do think this year and next year are going to be some of the most interesting years in real estate of yours and my lives.
Yeah.
And you have more experience than I do, but that's the prediction I'll make.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know. I mean, the only reason, in my opinion, is, we have markets like the Bay Area and others. I know there's a lot of others, but we're familiar with the Bay Area and most of California, especially Northern California, is that inventory is so low. Obviously, we're keeping those price points are just keep getting higher and higher, and it's remarkable. However, I've been doing this long enough to know that everything doesn't head north for the rest of our lives. Something will change eventually. I'm certainly not talking about a bubble or crash as much as I am some kind of adjustment has to take place, because as all of us know, affordability and appreciation, I mean, there's going to be some kind of road in which they meet and crossroads. So I'm not sure. Does that mean it's going to take more inventory to get on the market? I sure hope there is personally, because I think there's a lot of pent-up buyers that would love to buy homes right now. And I also would say that I did a podcast a couple of weeks ago, and I've talked about this a lot of times actually in my career, and that I would never tell people to focus on the interest rate. I would tell them to focus on the opportunity and timing if it's right for them. don't worry about the rate. I know some people, they kind of sit back and go, what are you talking about? It's been proven that, when it's time or it's ready for a person to buy a house, I don't think the rate should matter. You can always refinance somewhere down the road when those rates get lower. And real estate's just been such a great, opportunity for so many millions of people over the years. And that's why it's great to see models like yours come to fruition. Another thing I thought, so on the real estate side, the professionals, Matt, how does that work with the real estate agents that are representing your company? Are they from a variety of different companies? Are they specifically employed or work by you, from you? Are they independent contractors? Is this something they do full time with you guys? Or is this like, hey, I'm going to put my hat in because I think this is a great opportunity and work this model too?
Yeah. So, our intention is we don't consider ourselves disruptors. We consider
Okay.
ourselves improvers.
Okay.
And by that, I mean, we have full-time real estate people. We have full-time contractors. And
Okay.
we have part-time contractors. And the part-time contracting service providing, so call that showings, call that field visits, call that some transaction coordination. We designed that in the benefit of those showing agents. So I think the market for a showing in California, if you want to hire another agent, the last time we tried yesterday was $48. We pay people up to triple that to do a showing for us. And so think of it from an Uber standpoint in the sense that we understand that there's underutilized talent out there, and we want to pay you to do a really good job for us. And if we have leads that don't work for our model, we're going to expedite those leads over to you. So we're part of an ecosystem. We're not better than this ecosystem or want to destroy this ecosystem. We want to provide a lot of value to this ecosystem.
Okay.
So you asked how people work for us. They work in all capacities, and our goal is to make the ecosystem better. As I couldn't agree with you more, what you said about buying real estate and doing it independent of the interest rates. I mean, ultimately, buying real estate where we're lucky enough to live on the West Coast, it's still the best investment in the world.
I agree.
And will be moving into the future. So our goal is to make that better. We're not here to, displace people or, move people out of their desks. We're here people to fully utilize talented people to work hard and serve people well.
Yeah. I almost get this visualization of, and I hope I'm not mischaracterizing, but I almost get this visualization of like a real estate dashboard that you guys have that offers great options to the consumer and gives them different ways to either educate themselves, ask for support, look for support. As you had mentioned, a little more hand holding. Maybe people don't need as much, maybe they need more. And that's what it sounds to me, that's what it kind of, and I like the way you categorize the improvement in process. You're really giving people not only more options, but you're allowing the process to be improved and the systems to run a little bit smoother this way. And it's interesting. I'm excited for you guys. And how long now have you guys been underway, Matt? When did you start?
Yeah, our full tech has only been available since January 14th. And so
Okay.
MVP that we used last year, but it's kind of two different time periods. So since launching in January, we've been, again, my best hopes for customer acquisition have been, I underrated how that would go. We have a lot of people now. We have whole different sets of problems, which is how do we continue to improve the back end?
Right.
How do we in the level that we've promised people, which we will do.
Yeah.
But I don't think you mischaracterized us at all. We're fully aligned with that vision. We're here to help people, and people include, real estate agents and lenders that do a really great job. Ultimately, again, I go back to Amazon at the beginning. Jeff Bezos got a huge amount of flack for offering new and used books on the same page.
Right.
That's the way we think of it. If you want
Yeah.
a new book, you can get a new book. If you want a used book, whatever's best
I
for
love
you.
it. I love it. Yeah. No, it's great. It's really good. Anything else? Well, before we go too, I want to just let everybody know. So if anyone wants to find out more about the site, whether it's a consumer or anybody in the real estate industry, where's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, 𝗏𝗡𝗓.com. So 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗧. And that word means, to us, it means hello key,
Okay.
𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗃.com. And we'd love to hear from you if you want to do business either in real estate or you want to join the team. We're doing a fundraise right now, kicking off this week, actually.
Oh,
We've
you are?
operated on it to date. And so we will need talent as faster than I can possibly bring it on board.
Great.
So we're interested in talking to people.
So you guys are you're fundraising to, I'm guessing, to not only, to grow, to expand, but also I'm guessing to enhance, give us an idea of what that fundraising looks like and what it's going to go towards.
Yeah, absolutely. So we just touched on the technology that we've already built, but effectively right now, when a buyer makes an offer, it goes through to the seller agent. And like I said, we built things with the seller agent in mind. So we built it so that the seller agent doesn't have to do any manipulation with DocuSign or PDFs. Basically, the seller agent can say, I want my customer to accept, counter, or reject this offer. And then that the customer of theirs, the seller agent can give instructions, and the customer of theirs has the paperwork delivered to them in a way it needs to be signed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the seller agent reviews and sends it back. So we've basically automated the seller agent paperwork side of it. And the technical development to move that along and introduce also the seller and the buyer, much greater scale than what we've already built. Moving the machine learning applications into those different parts of the process is much bigger than we've already done. And the other problem that we have right now is we simply can't bring more customers on board because we don't have the operations to serve them. And I don't mean on the scale of adding 1 or 2 people. I mean on a scale of adding 5, 10, 20 people to serve them. Right. And so at this place where we can't move forward technically or operationally unless we have more kerosene for the fire. And so it's a really good place to be. We're really excited. I have a whole new set of headaches, to be completely honest. And headaches, I think, are a good thing because that means you're pushing the muscles in your brain. So it's not all rosy, but it's a lot of fun and it's very thrilling for the people that are working on it.
Yeah, well, that sounds an exciting venture, and we'll definitely stay in touch. We'd like to chart the progress, so we have you on every once in a while. It'd be great to see how things go, and it's exciting and good to have you on. Why don't you again remind everybody once again how they could reach you, and not only consumers, but it sounds like you might be looking for industry experts as well.
Absolutely. My name is Matt Parker, and my company is Alaki, ALOKEE. That means hello key. And you can contact myself or members of our team that you see on LinkedIn, and we'd be happy to talk with you.
Great. Matt, I want to thank you for your time, and also congratulations on the success, but I know there's going to be much bigger and better things on the way. So we wish you all the success, and we'll be in touch with you and see how things go.
Joe, thank you very much for taking the time to learn about our business. It means a lot to us.
Yeah, it's exciting. I'm happy for you guys. I really am. So love the good ideas. I love people who want to continue to innovate and offer consumers more options and more value. And that's what you guys are doing. So congratulations. And again, we'll be in touch at a later date.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe.
Right. You're welcome, Matt. Take care of yourself.
Bye.
This is 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗁 with Real Estate Radio Live. Great meeting here with Matt Parker. It's a great concept, and I think it's something that everyone should go take a look at. I think he said it well before I sign off here today. They're really trying to improve the industry and the way people maneuver the transactions, not disruption, and I think that's important. And so there's a great bunch of options. Again, thanks for tuning in. This is 𝗘𝘀𝘁𝗁 with Real Estate Radio Live. For more information, you can go to 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗓.com or reach out 408-838-9060. Until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗓.com. That's 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗙live.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at 𝗟𝗓𝗡𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧.com.